although it's more than likely we have commented. I am unable to recall what we replied with. However, I am certain the comment was not what I will vocalize. While it does tie in with the video we saw some time ago, it's going to go in a different route than the original. Now, I can only gather vague memories from the video, which coming from a manager can certainly be concerning. However, I am able to recall the major points of the video. In the video, a man was talking about how there has not been any known, studied cases of those who are blind and have schizophrenia. And while there are a plethora of types of blindness, he speaks of those who are fully blind, in need of a guide. The creator wonders how hallucinations would be for the blind. Now, while we cannot speak about being blind and having schizophrenia, because we obviously have 20/20's perfect vision. That was a small joke. We do not have schizophrenia. However, it got us wondering about being blind and having D.I.D. And seeing as we were both, we decided why not speak about it. Before entering the conversation, one must first understand the various types of blindness. The most common types of blindness are color blind, low vision, legally blind, and total vision loss. Now, for D.I.D., it's understandable for when the body has a disorder and/or a disability. Then us alters will also have those disorders and/or disability as well. Now, while it is fact what the body has, alters, parts, headmates will have. Some alters will hold more than others. This can depend on how much healing time alters have gotten. For example, one alter could hold more traits of OCD due to lack of help early on, while another alter of later times may not hold as much traits of OCD due to the times working on to regulate. Now, is this a guarantee factor? Perhaps not, when it comes to disabilities such as blindness. And being as there are many various types, alters within headspace might experience the different types, as there are alters who have 20/20's vision in headspace, but when taking front, are blind or visually impaired. Now that we have gotten the basics of D.I.D. and blindness, let us dive into the conversation and how it corresponds to blind people and schizophrenia. While schizophrenia and D.I.D. share a few similarities, and it's possible to obtain both disorders. In speaking of D.I.D. only, how does the blind see the inner world and alters? While the body is not totally blind, we do, however, have total blindness on the right and are diagnosed with legal blindness. Even wearing glasses, the world can be extremely blurry for us when front. So, from personal experience, how are we able to detect the inner world and each other? From our end, it's primarily through sound and description. An alter, part, headmate will describe what they look like. And from there, we search for the most accurate, however. Sometimes searching for the right reference can be a task, as we would have to take pauses to try and get our vision to somewhat focus. Knowing what the headspace looks is much like how it is with alters. Now, in some cases when an alter, part, headmate is front, sometimes they are able to quote-unquote see behind them. In our situation, we cannot really quote-unquote see behind us when front. We would often have to be told what is happening within. An attempt to see within without vocal aid would result in seeing the inner world as a massive blur, and not able to see the whole of the inner world due to being half blind. Since I am unable to provide valid, scientific information, nor do I have the full experience of what having total blindness indicates, I can only give a guess of what it would be like to experience D.I.D. and having total blindness. While there are some with the disorder who do not have an inner world, I can only assume perhaps it's the same for those with total blindness. As far as alters, parts, headmates go, that may depend on the body. Some people were born with total blindness and for others it developed. So perhaps for those who developed the disability, may have a record in what the inner world and alters look like. However, that might also be limited up to the point of their total blindness, in which other alters formed in later times may not have a physical form. Since the body was not born completely blind, we do not have the experience nor logical understanding of how alters and the inner world would be like. although we do have a few alters who have total blindness in headspace. The experience within is not the same outside, body-wise. However, with the assumption that a person with D.I.D. and born complete blind, I can only take a guess alters, parts, headmates form more as voices, rather than having a physical form. Though, I digress, and could be wrong, for there has not been a case as of yet of someone being born completely blind and having D.I.D.